Let's do it for Derek. On behalf of the Traeger family, as well as Acting Fire Chief Anthony Maroney and his executive staff, and the firefighters and ocean lifeguards of the LA County Fire Department, I welcome each of you to today's memorial to honor ocean lifeguard Derek C. Traeger. To begin, I would like to offer each and every one of us up in prayer. God Almighty, our Lord Jesus gave us these words in what we have long called the Sermon on the Mount, on the north shore of the Sea of Galilee. Jesus addressed the crowd and said, "Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and it will be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives, and the one who seeks finds, and to the one who knocks it will be opened." Lord God, this day let us ask. God, right now let us seek. Father, with the certainty of your loving response, let us knock. Amen. Our first speaker will be the Acting Fire Chief of the LA County Fire Department, Anthony Maroney.
Good morning. Thank you, Chaplain McKenzie. I was just thinking, if Derek knew there was a North Shore at the Sea of Galilee, he's certainly there surfing right now. So thank you for that. Good morning, I'm Anthony Maroney, the Acting Fire Chief for the County of Los Angeles Fire Department. On behalf of the Fire Department, our Lifeguard Division, and the County of Los Angeles Board of Supervisors, and the Los Angeles County Lifeguard Association, I would like to extend our deepest condolences and heartfelt prayers to the family and friends of ocean lifeguard Derek Traeger, especially to Derek's parents, Phil and Jackie, his sister Laura, his twin sister Sarah and her boyfriend Will, and to Derek Traeger's girlfriend Jenna, and to all the other relatives and friends of Derek and his family. I would also like to acknowledge County of Los Angeles 4th District Supervisor Janice Hahn, who is a huge supporter of the Fire Department and our Lifeguard Division, and also Fire Chief Kristen Crowley from the Los Angeles Fire Department, two strong women who join us today to lend their support to the Traeger, Lifeguard, and Fire Department families. You know, sometimes people don't have the opportunity to figure out what they are gifted at until they're adults. But Derek was fortunate enough to know right away as a child that art and swimming were among his many talents. He took to the water very early, swimming at 2 years old and surfing with his dad at 7. As the years went on, Derek got stronger and faster. He joined the swim and surf teams at San Pedro High, where he excelled as the surf team captain while juggling AP art classes and student government. Later, he turned that love of the ocean into a life-saving skill and a pathway to a career, becoming a coach with the Swim with Mo program, and then working as a lifeguard for the fire department. We were blessed to have Derek as an ocean lifeguard for 6 years. He started his first assignment at Dockweiler and then later moved up the coast to Venice and Santa Monica. Without knowing it, Derek made a lasting impact on people's lives while also helping to save people's lives. He had so much potential, and he was so close to realizing that dream of becoming a permanent ocean lifeguard specialist. Derek was taken from us too soon. He was not able to fully see that goal through and become an ocean lifeguard specialist. And that was just one of his dreams. He also wanted to eventually get married, become a husband, and start a family. His family was particularly proud of his work with children. As a swim coach, Derek worked extensively with kids so they could pass the junior lifeguard test. And when they did, his kids would pass with flying colors. Derek had a 100% pass rate. He enjoyed working with his students, but he didn't baby them. His number one priority was to make sure that they were trained properly. He took his coaching so seriously that he would usher parents out of the pool area to remove the pressure and let the kids focus on training. Without a doubt, Derek was a dedicated team member who was passionate about so many things in life: art, swimming, surfing, family, and most of all, helping others. Every time he showed up to work to serve as a fire department lifeguard, that was his way of fulfilling his commitment and promise to care for others while they were under his watch. As acting chief, I am grateful to our members who care for others as much as Derek did. They pour every ounce of their caring into their work every day without hesitation or regard for their own safety. Derek was a beloved member of the Traeger family as much as our fire department family. He was a devoted son, brother, and friend. Our hearts are heavy as we know Derek is deeply missed by everyone. Jackie and Phil, I want you both to know that the fire department family will continue to be there for you. And thank you for sharing Derek with us and allowing him to be our friend and trusted colleague. May God bless Derek, his memory, his family, everyone he leaves behind. He is greatly missed by all of us, and he will never be forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. We'll now hear from Derek's family. Father Phil, Mother Jackie, sisters Laura and Sarah, Derek's gal Jenna, and cousin Sean.
Okay, I'd like to thank everybody here for coming to honor Derek. Friends and family and the LA County Fire Department have rallied around us and have helped us to get through the beginning of this nightmare. And I want to thank our LA County Fire Department Chaplain, Brett McKenzie, for being there for us, checking in on us, and coordinating and tailoring the fire department protocols to our family, and for getting to know Derek. The LA County Fire Department has been amazing in caring for us. I would also like to thank Lifeguard Chief Ollie O'Connell and LA County Fire Chief Anthony Maroney for becoming personally involved with our family and welcoming us into the LA County Fire Department family. The LA County Lifeguards are a group of some of the finest people I have ever met or had the pleasure of meeting. And I'm so proud of Derek for becoming part of this crew. And I'm proud of his positive impact on those around him and of their positive impact on him. So losing Derek so suddenly and at such a young age is devastating to all who knew him, especially our family. All our hopes and dreams for Derek's future have been shattered, and we are left picking up the pieces. I got my order wrong here. Paul, my friend Paul, is going to recite a poem about grief, and I'm saying that it puts such a realistic perspective on the power of grief. You'll hear Paul recite that poem a little later. So, time has stopped for Derek, and the time that each of us have left on this earth has been forever altered. I will always wonder what Derek would have accomplished had he had more time. But everyone can agree that Derek lived a full life and he made really good use of the time that he had on this earth. So Jackie and I put a lot of effort to try and raise well-rounded children, and we taught them all we could. But with Derek, I could never teach him anything. Yet somehow he figured out everything I ever knew, and he figured out everything I ever wished I knew, and he ended up living the life I only dreamed of. He was and always will be my hero. So I'm going to push the time a little bit. I'm going to tell you a story about Derek that Derek told me. On his first trip to Indonesia, Derek met up with Roald in Bali. And from there, they drove a van in a caravan with their friend Pete to Lakey Peak, 2 islands away on Sumbawa. Pete is an ex-San Pedro guy who owns the White Monkey Surf Shop in Bali. And Pete needed to bring supplies and surfboards to a treehouse lodge he was building in Sumbawa. So, which is at Lakey Peak. So Jackie and I had plans to meet up with Derek in Bali a month later. And so when he and Roald came back to Bali from Sumbawa to renew their visas and enjoy the nightlife, we were planning on hooking up with Derek. So we spent a wonderful week in Bali, meeting up with Roald and Derek, often for excursions and dinners. And Jackie and I would settle in for the night around 10 o'clock or so after dinner, and the boys would just be getting started with their nightlife. We also had plans in the second week we were there to go to Komodo Island, or Komodo National Park, to see the Komodo dragons. And so Komodo is a small island without an airport. And the only way to get there is by boat from the island of Flores. So that harbor on Flores is really busy with live-aboard dive charters to Komodo and beyond. And we had booked a 3-day trip to Komodo and back, snorkeling in beautiful waters and amazing coral reefs on the way. So Derek went with us on our memorable trip to Komodo. Roald was invited too, but he wanted to get back to Lakey. So sometime while the boys were in Bali, one of their new Sumbawan friends named MT came down with malaria, and this is Indonesia, not the USA, and he ended up passing away. So MT was an older Lakey Peak local, a well-known surfer and diver and fisherman, and a true regulator of the sometimes unruly international crowds of surfers at Lakey. He's probably a pretty hard guy to get to know, but Derek and Roald managed to do that. So when we got back to Bali from Komodo, Derek was in a big hurry to get back to Lakey and pay his respects to MT's family. So Jackie and I flew home, and Rold and Pete were already in Lakey, so Derek was going to go alone. So most people fly from Bali to Sumbawa. Then they take a 3-hour taxi from the airport to Lakey Peak. And the taxis are all run by the Sumbawan Mafia. So Derek didn't want to fly there. He didn't want to be there without transportation, and he didn't want to deal with the Mafia. So he rented a motorcycle in Bali, and with his backpack and his surfboards, he checked in with us by phone and then headed to the ferry to Lombok just as it started to rain. He made the long crossing to the island of Lombok and rode in a tropical downpour across the island to the Sumbawa ferry, which was a pretty big ordeal in the rain. So then he caught the late night ferry for the 5-hour ride to Sumbawa. He parked his bike downstairs and went upstairs to grab a seat. And he sat down only to realize he was all alone up there, except he sat down facing a whole row of the Sumbawan Mafia. And so he thought he was done right there. He was pretty scared. And he had his backpack, and he slipped his hand into his backpack, and he grabbed the handle of his machete, and he thought, if they take me, I'm going to take a few of them with me. So sure enough, the meanest looking guy there, he comes up to Derek, and he wants to know, what is a bule, what they call the white surfers, what is a bule doing all alone in the middle of the night on their ferry? And they pretty much asked Derek, why should we let you live? And Derek explained, I'm in a hurry to get to Sumbawa, to Lakey Peak, to pay my respects to my friend MT's family, and that he had made a really good friend of MT while he was in Lakey. And Derek also mentioned his friendship with Pete and his family. And Pete's wife is Indonesian from a well-known Sumbawan family. So Derek was relying on his ability to make friends with people who usually don't make friends with traveling surfers. And Derek and Rold were different. Growing up in Pedro, they learned that respect is earned, not given. And when you earn respect, it only works if it's reciprocated. So the Sumbawan Mafia knew right away. They knew MT, they knew Pete's family, and that was good enough for them. So everything changed. They offered Derek some beer, come and sit with us, tell some stories, and that's how he finished the ride to Sumbawa. And then he rode across Sumbawa and got to Lakey Peak. And he called us when he got there about 2 days later, when he had Wi-Fi, and told us that he had had quite an adventure. But he didn't tell me till later what had happened. But that was Derek. In a heavy situation, there's nobody you would rather be with. He thrived on being ready to go, and he was going to go big. So thank you for listening. I'm so proud of the man Derek became. I think about him all the time. And a few days after the accident, I decided to try to make myself a better person and not let this wreck me or my family. So we've been strong for Derek. But I will admit there are some cracks. I do get angry, but I am fully aware of how destructive anger can be. And I've seen angry old people before, and they're pitiful. And I don't want to become one of them. So it's a battle because it makes no sense what happened to Derek, and the tiniest little thing could have changed the events that night, and he'd still be here with us. So I fight back the anger for Derek, and I hope you'll wish me luck in that battle. So thank you all for coming, and thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. It means a lot to us. I wrote a poem to Derek, and I'm going to try to get through it, so bear with me. The poem is called An Ode to My Son. Since you departed, the accolades and praise for you have been raining down, creating a wave of love and respect that washes over us and buoys our spirits. Here comes a swell now. Derek, the leader, our protector. Derek, my best friend. Derek, the silly goofball. Derek, the awesome waterman. Derek, the gifted artist. But to me, you were my son, my boy, my baby. I loved you so, even before you were born, while you shared my womb with your twin sister. When you and Sarah arrived and began to share your lives with us, with Laura, how happy, how thankful we were to be us, our family, our Traeger fam. We felt blessed, strong, invincible because of our great love for one another. We shared a deep appreciation for all of nature and traveled together, our family tribe, from the beaches and oceans to the mountains, through valleys and across streams, marveling at God's creation, never forgetting what a true miracle Earth is. And now, the tide of our lives has changed, and you have embarked on a new journey, traveling faster than the speed of sound, faster than a lightning bolt across the sky. We will carry you in our hearts and watch and listen for you in soft, gentle breezes and brilliant sunsets, in the crashing surf of ocean waves, atop every mountain peak, in the flutter of hummingbird wings and the swift glide of falcons, in the frolicking dance of butterflies. Safe travels, my love, until we meet again.
All right. So first of all, thank you everyone for being here. You've helped us through what will be the hardest time in our lives. And for that, we can't thank you enough. I could have never imagined standing here in front of you all at my twin brother's funeral. I wish this could have gone differently and I could have been standing in front of you all at something like his wedding. But life had very different plans for us. I've had a hard time trying to sum up the 28 years of a near perfect childhood and life with the coolest twin brother ever, Derek, right by my side. But I'll try. 28 years ago, with a 2.5-year-old toddler and twins on the way, I'm sure my parents were thinking, how the hell are we gonna do this? What I'm sure they hoped for, but did not yet realize, was the magnitude of the greatest gift they could have ever given to us, and that is each other. I am the luckiest girl in the world to have gotten to spend 28 years sandwiched between the best mom, dad, sister, and brother a person could have ever asked for. To live with Derek for 28 years is to know love, strength, beauty, and true happiness. When Derek was born, I was born too, and when Derek died, it felt like a piece of me died too. And I know I speak for a lot of people when I say that. But what keeps me strong during the hard days is to ask myself, what if roles were reversed? And what if Derek was going through this situation instead of me? What would he do? He would do what he does best. He would literally save your life. He would gather everyone together and lead the group. He would make you feel seen, heard, and safe. He would check in on you. He would make you laugh. He would tell you to stop crying and man up. He would hold you tight. He would take you to the beach and force you to jump in the water. He would drink Modelo's with you to numb the pain. But above all, he would inspire you to start living your life to the fullest, because you never know when your time here is up. So whenever you're feeling sad or happy, just remember to live like Traeger. So loud enough for him to hear us, and so that we'll never forget, I want us to yell it to the heavens. Live like Traeger on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Live like Traeger!
You need water or anything?
Want some water?
No, I'm okay. All right. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Laura Traeger, Derek's older sister. And for those who know me well, you know writing, emotions, and public speaking are not my strong suit, so apologies in advance. Derek, you've always been there since the beginning. You were the cutest kid. Believe it or not, one of the palest babies I've ever seen. You had a bowl cut with jet black hair, the biggest red lips, these adorable ears that would stick out to the side, and of course your signature gap tooth smile. Despite all your cuteness, you're an absolute terror, a crazy, fun, wild child. Some of my very first memories in life are of you frog squatting in the middle of Vaughn's and doing your devilish, ear-piercing shriek after Mom caught you putting candy in the cart. Mom was so embarrassed, she grabbed the 3 of us and ran out of the store, leaving 2 full carts of groceries behind. I swear you spent half of your childhood covered in chocolate. As you grew up, you finally hit your growth spurt. You started to grow out of being that little kid and started to take on the role of my older, bigger brother. So protective. Even though I lived in Venice and Santa Monica for 5 years, you would only meet me at the taco truck on Brooks. Sarah and I are just getting to meet half of your friends now because you made sure to gatekeep us. Always telling me how to protect myself and who to date, stay away from frat boys. You always had my back. I was going through a really hard time this past winter, and we ended up reliving our teenage years together as roommates at home for 6 months. And you honestly saved me. There was definitely still yelling and fighting over the shower. I had to teach you how to clean up your beard shavings out of the sink. Lots of wrestling, although nowadays you're definitely kicking my ass. But you were what got me out of bed every morning. You would wake me up with a body slam, crushing my ribs, and then kiss me on my forehead and tell me you love me. You would run out of my room and grab our green tea eye mask out of the refrigerator, and we would try to get rid of our wrinkles as we sat and had coffee together. You were so good at being annoying, funny, and sweet all at the same time. It was impossible not to smile and laugh with you. I'll cherish that extra time we had for the rest of my life. The nights are the hardest for me. It's when the day settles down and reality sets in. I remember the future with you that was taken from us. What could have been and what was supposed to be. My heart sinks so low I start to think to myself, how am I possibly going to get through any of this without you? But then your voice pops into my head. Don't be a PAB. You're so dramatic. Everything is going to be okay. I then try to focus my energy on what will be because of you. You impacted thousands of lives and have given us all the biggest wake-up call to get out there and start living, to not take any moment for granted. I pray I'm lucky enough to have a son one day, and I promise to teach him all about his Uncle Derek, to make him love and live life fearlessly, forever enjoy nature and art, and teach him how to stand up for himself and his community, and of course turn him into a little waterman, although I might have to recruit some of your friends to help teach him how to surf. I promise your legacy will live on, and I'll do my best to carry on our Traeger name in your honor. I'll do whatever it takes so the first thing I see when my day comes is you with your smirk, your shoulders hiked up, and your arms wide open, ready to give me one of your bear hugs, telling me what took you so damn long. Until that day comes, I'll remember the family car rides, singing the Doobie Brothers, our Mexico Beach days, the 5 a.m. Christmas Day wake-up calls, the crazy Santa scavenger hunts, your ridiculous, amazing dance moves, the sound of Barbara Jane warming up her diesel engine in the morning, and that Modelo time starts promptly at 10 a.m. in Yosemite. I'll never stop bragging about you, I'll never stop missing you, and I'll love you forever.
Hello, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I am Jenna, Derek's girlfriend. I know the majority of you sitting here have been lucky enough to know Derek a lot longer than me, so I want to say I'm so sorry. I definitely envy you, and I've been thinking about you through this time. Unfortunately, I was only lucky enough to know Derek for a little over a year. But in that short time, I have never felt more purpose and joy in the 31 years that I've been on this earth. Sorry. Today, I just want to share a letter that I wrote to Derek a couple weeks ago. I was trying not to make this too sad, but it seemed nearly impossible, so here goes. I remember the strange feeling in my heart when I said goodbye to you at the airport that night. You told me I was cutting it close for my flight and pushed me along to security. Something in me pulled back for one more embrace. I started to cry in your arms, and I told you something felt different, that I felt a deep sadness, but I didn't know why. You reassured me I was just being hormonal, and that you'd be seeing me in my hometown in just a week. This shouldn't have seemed unbearable considering our relationship was long distance at times, but for some reason, it felt like I wouldn't see you forever. Now, looking back to that moment, it's like my heart knew before my head that this would be the last time. A week ago, you would have been in New Hampshire. Oh, thank you. A week ago, you would have been in New Hampshire meeting the people that mean the most to me. You would have been meeting my parents, my siblings, and some of my oldest friends. And I would have been introducing them to my future, the true love of my life. You were it. You had it all. You were honest, genuine, and patient. You were full of life, never wasting any time. You were confident, but humble. Fearless, but smart. You were a badass waterman with a body of steel. And you were handsome. I loved your swag. You were an open book, but a little mysterious. You were hilarious and ridiculous with no shame. I really loved that about you. Even when you would embarrass me in public. You used to tell me that's what partners are for, and proceeded to fake punch me like you were some skilled boxer in the middle of a busy grocery store. You were the guy that would dismantle an entire motel sink just to fetch a tiny earring that fell down the drain that I honestly didn't really care about. Most of all, you were a leader and a protector, and you loved with a selfless heart. And even though your shell was tough and your face stone, you had endless love and compassion in your soul. I'm so proud of you, Derek. I'm proud of the man you proved to be. I'm proud of you for always sticking to your guns and not tolerating things that weren't right. I'm proud of the way you treated others and for always taking care of your family. You would have done anything in this world for the people you love, strangers even. I'm proud of your hard work, your dedication, and passion when it came to your job. I'm proud of you for always continuing to make art and for the way you encouraged others. I'm proud of the inspiration and safe place you were for all of your friends, even though you were on the phone with them like 24/7. Anyone that knows you looks up to you and speaks so highly of you, and it truly melts my heart. You are my hero, Derek. You picked me up after my accident, all of my broken bones, and made me feel undamaged. You made me feel like the strongest girl in the world. I never once doubted how you felt since the night we met last summer, and even though you didn't write me love letters and you weren't a gushy romantic, you never made me question anything. You showed up for me in ways that no one ever has, and you taught me what it truly means to be loved wholeheartedly, with no false promises. I know that nothing will bring you back. But if I waited my whole life to find you, I will never stop searching for you now. I will look for you in my dreams, the stars, the sun, the ocean, and all the butterflies and birds. I feel you everywhere, and you've already given me so many signs. The impact that you made on me and the imprint you have left on this world will be cherished for many lifetimes to come. You were a rare breed, one entirely of your own, and you truly and obviously are larger than life itself. I know the future will be hard and nothing will ever feel normal without you, but I have faith that you're right by my side, guiding and protecting me wherever I go. I believe our love is eternal, something no time or distance could ever change. And as devastating as it is to lose you, I know that a love this deep is much greater than never having had it at all. I promise to honor you every day, Derek, to live more like you did and to use all the advice you have given me, or most of it at least. I know in my heart this won't be our last encounter. May you get barreled in the waves of paradise, my donkey, until we meet again. Thank you to everyone that made today possible. And for Derek's friends and family and co-workers who welcomed me with no hesitation since day one. It really means the world to me. Thank you.
Derek and I grew up together side by side, with only a year between us, which he pompously often referred to as a huge gap. Even as cousins, it always felt like we were more like brothers, and we definitely acted like it. We were always at each other, interruptingly trying to teach the other the right way to do things. Because of this, we were constantly referred to as bickering brothers, both way too stubborn to yield to the other. Through life, we always watched out for each other. I always looked a little bit more forward to family gatherings, knowing that he was going to be there. He was the person I could look across the table and crack up without saying even a word, or who I would always laugh with at inappropriate jokes or walk off with and talk to. More than that, we traveled together, partied, leaned on each other in hard times, but most of all, we goofed off. He could make even the dullest moments the most fun. We worked together every winter for 6 years at a tree lot organized by the YMCA for the Youth and Government program for San Pedro High School, something that Derek brought me into. I remember one night we were delivering a tree in Rolling Hills, and I got pulled over for rolling a stop sign on a hill with 4 trees in the back of my truck. The cop was very unreceptive to our situation, and I got a big ticket. As I continued to drive to the delivery address, Derek had sensed in my silence the anger I was holding on to. He told me, "You know what? We're gonna be there in 5 minutes. Let's just scream and cuss and get all this bullshit out of us until we get there." Sorry, but that's an actual quote. We pulled up to the driveway cracking up, and I couldn't care less about some stupid ticket. And he had a way of flipping everyone's mood 180 degrees. The 14th of August is a day I'll never forget. At 7:26, a phone call woke me from a dream sending me into my worst nightmare. I never imagined a life without Derek in it. Everything has and will change since that morning. After being at the Traegers that night at my apartment, my girlfriend and I lit a candle and had a drink in Derek's name. She asked me to share some of my favorite memories of him. Trying to sort through millions, I thought of a trip to Bishop Creek in 2017 with Derek and his parents, Jackie and Phil. We were there for 3 days, and Derek and I had the goal to fish every morning and every evening and eat our fish every night. Well, that's not really how it went. The days went by and we caught nothing, barely even a nibble. On our final day, we all hiked up to a high lake before driving home later that night. Derek and I stayed after Jackie and Phil left and must have caught 30 tiny, tiny fish that were maybe like this big, none of which that we could keep, so we just threw them all back. Just as the sun was starting to set, Derek caught his first real fish. I started to pack up. It was getting dark and we still had a decent sized hike ahead of us. He turned to me and said, what are you doing? We aren't leaving until you've caught one too. I don't care how dark it gets. We ended up having so much fun that we hiked back in complete darkness with headlamps and our hands full of fish. That's the person he was. If he won, he wouldn't stop until everyone else won too. Speaking with his friends and colleagues over these days, I found that he made the same impression everywhere he went. This effect he had on people around him was motivating. If he saw something that you wanted, he wouldn't just say, "You got this." He would ride your backside until you got it and beyond. He would have been the one to get me through something like this. And I guess that's the hardest part. The strength I feel from him even now is just a fraction of how inspired I felt in our friendship. I'll take him with me everywhere I go, knowing that he's riding my ass, pushing me to go further and never give up on dreams, and most importantly, making life a good time. To me, his passing follows a quote by Abraham Lincoln. In the end, it's not the years in your life that count, it's the life in your years. Thank you, Derek. Thank you for all that you were, all that you are, and all that you continue to be. I love you, brother.
This is obviously Benny Farias, and this is a song that he wrote for Derek.
Hello, everybody. My name is Benny Farias. I had the honor and privilege to grow up with Derek through elementary and high school. This is actually a song that I wrote for one of our buddies who passed away while we were in high school. I'm going to try my best to play it for you guys, and I hope you enjoy it.
Just a few minutes ago I saw you, feeling that I got when you were there. So I stopped in my tracks and then I looked up. With that big bright smile you were standing there. always be in my heart. I don't want it to be that way. I know you'll always be in my heart. I know we'll be together someday. And hurts to know that you are gone, but we know you're in a better place. Man, I wish it didn't go this way, and I wish I could see your face. Hurts to know that you are gone, but we know we're in a better place. Man, I wish it didn't go this way, and I wish I could see your face. See your face. See your face. Just a few minutes ago I saw you, but never thought that it would be the last. So I cracked a little joke and then I walked off. Man, I wish that I could change the past, but no, you'll always be in my heart. Don't want it to be that way. I know you'll always be in my heart. I know we'll be together someday. And hurts to know that you are gone, but we know you're in a better place. Man, I wish it didn't go this way, and I wish I could see.
But, you know, I could sit here all day and talk stories about how much, well, I had these great, amazing adventures with him. But I do really prompt each and every single one of you guys here to sit down today and think of that one Derek story that either made you laugh, just gave you such awe, or he did something that inspired you in some way. And hold that dear true to your heart, because he is forever, forever going to leave that lasting impression on you. And not only was he my best friend, but he introduced me to some of my other most amazing friends who are sitting behind me right now, standing, should I say. And each one of them have just been so amazing. And I will, I'll forever miss him. When I got the news, I came back from leave, and it was the first day back. We just came back from a deployment, and was really, really excited to see my brother, you know, and unfortunately that didn't happen. But what we got to do was, in the 82nd Airborne, we get to jump out of planes for our career. So when we got our first jump back, I said, this jump is for Derek. You know, he's the toughest SOB I've ever met, and if anyone's gonna bulldog it, is Derek. And so I said, this jump is for Derek. And so we get all rigged up and everything, we're in the plane, and you look out the window, and it is just storm clouds. I'm talking just nasty North Carolina weather, and you're just like, and we were fast tracking up there for about 2 hours. And it didn't look like anything was gonna happen, but the jump master still, you know, hooked us up, and we were standing there for another hour, and it's just not happening. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, comes this just golden beam of light comes through. And all of a sudden they say, stand by, green light, go. And before I know, I was jumping out of the C-130. And we hit the ground, and perfect, amazing jump. And all of a sudden, the rain just came right back over us. And I knew then and there, that is Derek. He gave me that window to jump for him, to remember him, to honor him. And he is forever the angel on my shoulder. My brother, I will love you forever. And you meant everything to me, man. So I just want to say thank you, everyone, for coming out today. And he's forever going to be lost, but never forgotten. So thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
Sorry, I'm a little shorter.
Derek probably would have made fun of me for that, but that's all right. So I just kind of wanted to start with a story. So I grew up with Derek. I knew him since 2nd grade on, and we had a little secret. We used to like to play Magic the Gathering, and we were always a little embarrassed about it. And he had all his cards in a box, and it was an old Victoria's Secret box, and it was pink. And he crossed off the Victoria, and he wrote Derek, and it was Derek's secret box. And that's just one of the many stories that I have. But in life, there are a few people that leave lasting effects on us the way that Derek did. I knew him from 2nd grade on, and the experiences that we shared made us brothers. And in coming to these events, I selfishly found myself comparing my relationship with Derek to the motives and intentions of everyone else. And I realized I was looking at it all wrong. Instead, I focused on the fact that Derek meant something to everyone here, and that's what's important. That's what really matters. I always knew he was one of a kind, and hearing the stories lately confirm that. And it's comforting to know that all the stories from all the people that knew Derek in a different light, professionally, personally, in the water, whatever it was, it all painted a picture of the same person. An incredible human being and free spirit that lived life to the fullest. Losing Derek is something that we will feel forever, and it's a void that will never be filled. But we should try to not be sad that he's gone, but rather be grateful that he lived. I truly believe that the best way to honor him is to embody his spirit, his essence, and all that made Derek Derek, and live life to the fullest, just as he did. I love you, bud.
Hello everyone, I'm Ryan. And if I crack, and for the cracks that Lars and Mike may have had, you'll have to excuse us, because the only way we know how to deal with this kind of stuff is by cracking jokes with each other, and so we probably haven't done enough crying, really. So forgive me if I do. And also excuse the fact that I'm going to be reading a lot here. In true Derek fashion, I didn't really rehearse this much. Derek was our best friend. He made us complete, and he made our brotherhood complete. And without him, we'll always have a major part of us missing. He is and forever will be irreplaceable. Not just as a son, brother, cousin, lifeguard, or best friend, but as his own man. His special blend of love for art, animals, and nature, the ocean, friends, and family was extraordinary. And his free spirit and unwilling to compromise to a sedentary life without these things that were so special to him was remarkably admirable. There was not one person in the world that was anything like him, and you all probably just had one, if not several things come to mind that made you nod as I said that. And it is this uniqueness that should be his legacy. As we continue on through life, we need to let him remind us that it is always okay to be yourself. From his hilarious and shameless quirks to often hyperbolic statements that we called Traeger facts, I always admired Derek for that reason. And I strove to have a life that was half as adventurous as his. He was, to me, a modern-day hippie. And I can't tell you enough how much I mean that as a compliment. So to pay tribute to Derek, it only seems right to share things that I may not have previously told you guys about. Yes, I have on numerous occasions watched the Lord of the Rings Extended Edition trilogy in one go. And yes, I dance like a dork whenever Burning Down the House by Talking Heads comes on at a bar. And yes, I helped to invent a silly handshake that I was insanely proud of. Even though it may not truly have been that cool. And yes, I did all those things with Derek. I hope we do our best not to mourn him. Derek was not necessarily religious, but he was certainly very spiritual. And I know that his spirit is living on with us. So whenever you feel like you need to be closer to Derek, try catching a wave or taking a walk through the woods and know that he's all around you.
It's finally at a normal height. Hi everyone, my name's also Derek. I know a lot of you know me as Esky. And I met Derek all the way back in the 6th grade on a soccer team. And I'd already been friends with Michael, already kind of knew Ryan, and then all 4 of us got together, and then we met Lars, and man, it's just been, you know, almost 20 years of friendship together, and going from childhood to adulthood is almost adulthood, I guess we could say, is pretty crazy. I think the neatest part about right now is everyone that's here, because it all shows you were just able to tolerate Derek. I think the trend has been stubborn. If you've ever, like Ryan just said, the Traeger facts, he would, and I forgot who else said it, but 2 + 2 was definitely 5, no matter how many times he told him it wasn't. Before I get going, I just want to get a head count of all of his ex-girlfriends that are here. Just kidding. That was a dice roll. Growing up with Derek was truly something special. Being kids together and all of us going over each other's houses after school, after soccer games, or just because we all wanted to see each other. And but going from that to evolving and us growing up together and going very different directions in our lives, but still being able to maintain contact and see each other from time to time. But no matter how long any of us would go without talking, we still knew that we were our best friends and we were all brothers together as well. And it just made us feel that much stronger together, I think. In these last few years, as it got harder to see Derek, just with work schedule and the way life goes, I definitely felt like our friendship and brotherhood grew a lot stronger, though, because when one of us did answer the phone or we were able to go see each other, it was that much more appreciated. And it just meant that much more. Being able to catch up on life, and whether it was going to get tacos, which I know was the staple of his diet, or going to a bar out by the beach where you just catch it for a few hours. And for those few hours with Derek, it was like being kids again. And he had that free spirit that I've always looked up to, and it was always great to be around. Derek, I'll always cherish our, I might be repeating myself in a second, our after work phone calls, catching up on life and just being with each other, grabbing drinks every few weeks out by the beach and just feeling like teenagers again for a couple of hours. Us will always cherish the memories he left us with and the impact he had on our lives. And also you taking every opportunity to lift up your shirt and flash us your nipples. Oh man. The guy would have on off a shirt for 22 hours, and the other 2 hours he had on a shirt, you still saw them just as much. It was crazy. The few things I've learned from this happening are appreciate the memories we have with each other, call your friends, and this one actually sticks out quite a bit to me, especially recently, but it's take pictures. I know like a few of us have gotten together and we've started making some albums of all, you know, everything we have of them. Some that shouldn't be put out in public, but they'll probably make their way out there. But Michael's wife, Marissa, would always have her phone in her hand or a camera with her, and we'd always tell her to put it away, you're annoying. But, you know, just kidding. But no, we love her for it, and she's captured some of the best memories we have with Derek and all of her friends, and I'm super grateful she was always there with the camera ready to capture something. There are so many pictures with Derek we can look back and smile at, And that's something great. But the you know, that's huge. But the other thing I've really learned from this is let yourself feel it. You know, I mean, if you're sad, let yourself feel sad. If it's angry, let it come and go. If it's happy, let yourself feel happy too, because these emotions we're feeling because of Derek, and I think whether it's good or bad, when we let ourselves feel that, we're able to feel a little bit closer to Derek, and that's huge. Derek, we love you and we miss you, and man, it's going to be a little off balance in the group for a bit, but we know you'll always be with us.
Thanks, fellas. Now hear from Paul Hugeboom.
Thank you, Brett. So first off, I want to thank my Lord and Savior, the Lord Jesus Christ, for blessing us with Derek and the entire Traeger family. I also want to thank God for his friends and coworkers. Derek grew up in a great family. Phil and Jackie are two amazing people committed to each other in a loving relationship. Above all, they wanted a happy home where love flourished. Derek and his dad, Phil, are good friends of mine. We were partners in a boat that Phil built. I first met Derek when he was 14. The last time I saw Derek was at Lifeguard recheck. He was tall and strong and handsome and full of life. He was confident, had an easygoing way about him. We had a couple minutes to talk story. All the stuff he was saying was just amazing. Catching up with Derek was great. He was truly living the life. He won the recheck swim that day easily, like it was no big deal. What a stud. Growing up, Derek became a junior lifeguard and eventually becoming a Los Angeles County Fire Department ocean lifeguard. Also an avid surfer, blossoming into a fine waterman. I used to talk to Derek about surfing and traveling because I truly believe that all young people should get out there and see the world. I'm not taking any credit for what Derek did, but I said to Derek, get out of your comfort zone and find out what it's like to travel around the globe. Surf your brains out, enjoy your youth. All too soon, responsibilities will come. Make time now while you're young and flexible and strong. We all knew that Derek took those words to heart and ran with it, far exceeding anybody's wildest expectations. It made him into the man he was. Derek truly had a zest for life, a life full of amazing adventures and experiences. He was very comfortable in his own skin. He liked to laugh and have a good time. Sometimes, we all know from everybody talking, he liked to get a little wild. You know, that's okay. We need more of that these days. It was so awesome to see all the tributes in his honor. The paddle out was amazing, San Pedro. To literally hundreds of people jumping off the Venice Pier, to half-crazed watermen and waterwomen charging out on funny flotation devices in the surf, an event Derek thought of himself. And many other such events and tributes to this great waterman. To all of those who partook in such events, congratulations. Derek is smiling down on each and every one of you. A huge shout out to the Los Angeles County Fire Department for being such an exemplary organization. True professionalism. Being a Los Angeles County Fire Department ocean lifeguard is truly like being part of a big family. We all want to walk away from this memorial being more like Derek, as a lifeguard, as a friend, as a coworker, being better people, being better watermen and waterwomen, being better lifeguards, working with purpose and passion, watching the water and making the ocean safe for millions of people every year. The fact that so many of us love Derek, he lives on in our hearts and memories. We will keep him alive and we will never forget. A great man like Derek deserves to live on forever, and he will. Derek was a great son, a great brother, the great love of your life, the one who you wanted forever, a great friend, a great role model, and a great lifeguard. Years ago, I had my own notion of grief. I thought it was a sad time that followed the death of someone you loved, and you had to push through it to get to the other side. But I'm learning there's no other side. There is no pushing through, but rather there is absorption, adjustment, acceptance. And grief is not something that you complete, but rather something you endure. Grief is not a task to finish and move on, but an element of yourself, an alteration of your being, a new way of seeing, a new definition of self. God bless you all, and God bless Derek Traeger.
Now I've got Roald Marinoff, Joseph Dewar, and Colin Goddard.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Roald Marinoff. Derek and I became friends around 12 years ago when we were on the surf and swim team at Pedro High. He was 2 years ahead and didn't care that I was a freshman at his Halloween party. He was a big brother, and he really gave anyone a chance to be heard. His talents weren't just in surfing and swimming. He knew how to draw. The best lifeguard area shirts ever made were by Derek. That tank top that was made for the Pedro High surf team will be the Traeger jersey on the wall. Derek and I got really close once we became lifeguards for the county. After his first summer on the beach working, he found me in Bali. I'll never forget the memories we made that year, spending more than 2 months together, lost in the jungles of Indonesia. He really knew about the important things in life. He knew how to treat others, how to give respect in order to gain respect. He was a man of his word. When he told me, "I got your back, dog," it was because he meant he had my back, no matter what. When he wrote, "Love you, big dog," on that art piece he gave me, he really meant it. Derek, you old soul, I love you back. A speech about Derek is probably the hardest thing to write because it would easily turn into a book. He had skills from land to sea. He could swim, for sure could surf. He definitely could build stuff. He 100% could draw. He was the party, but most of all, he could love. His love radiated more than any of his skills, and it must be because of his big heart. He was the man that had everyone's back. That's what made him a. You could trust him with your life. Derek led by example in many ways, and one of them is standing up for yourself and what you believe is right for you. Derek was able to deliver a feeling of strength over you, and I'm not sure if it was because of his size or physique. That feeling of strength was from his heart. The love and strength that emanated from his heart will never fade. He is eternal and will forever cast his love and strength over us. As he would say, love you, big dog. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Joseph Dewar. I had the pleasure of meeting Derek 5 years ago, working a lifeguard tower with him at Mother's Beach, which we shared together for 8 hours. That day, I'm pretty sure he thought I was just some kid after I ate all his chips. And every time somebody would ask us how we met, he would always bring up that story. Now, Derek to me was not only a coworker, he was one of my best friends and became the big brother that I never had, as well as one of my greatest mentors. He always loved living life to the fullest and always told me to pursue my dreams, which I would have loved to see Derek pursue as well. Now, I wrote a poem about Derek due to the fact that he lived life like nobody else did. And with his passing, I feel we should live life just like Derek. The poem is called To Be Like Traeger. To be like Traeger is something I learned when I first met Derek. To be like Traeger is to infect those around you with an everlasting smile. To be like Traeger is to kill with kindness and to always be respectful. To be like Traeger, his superhuman figure was bigger than most. He walked the world with giant steps, his talents far beyond his red shorts. To be like Traeger is to be like a bear, to take failure as power and to look at life as an opportunity to explore, learn, and flourish. To be like Traeger means being selfless, giving to others almost more than you give to yourself. To be like Traeger is to gift the world with art and creativity, to love the water, friends, co-workers, and family, to protect those close to you, and to be a big brother to all, and to be a gentleman is to be like Traeger. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Colin Goddard. Derek was my best friend, but more importantly, Derek was everybody's best friend. He was a legend in the lifeguarding community and embodied the core values that make up our department. He loved the job and the lifestyle that it paved. A true waterman, a hero, and a selfless individual. I feel so fortunate to become so close and experience all the enjoyable moments we had. Derek always seemed larger than life when you were with him. Positive and kind-hearted, goofy, yet confident. He brought the best sides out of all of us. If you were feeling down and out, Derek would be the first to get you to snap out of it and remember life ain't all that bad. He lived his life to the fullest, making the most out of every day, even if it meant the entirety in a coffee shop spending hours on end painting up his latest masterpiece. A talented, hardworking artist, but you would never know that, for he either had too much pride or was too modest. Derek was such an inspiration and had an impact on everyone he met. It didn't matter who you were or what you had, he would always give you the time of day. Sure, he might give you a hard time in the process, but he always let you know he cared and loved you. Derek's personality is a true testimony to his family for what an incredible son they raised. The Traegers, to me, are what every family would strive to be. Thoughtful, hardworking, compassionate, loving, present, and welcoming. I was fortunate enough to meet the Traegers in June Lake with my young family, where we enjoyed meals, had laughs, and told stories. They're the kind of people that make you feel good, but also love a good argument. I once was part of what felt like an hour debate over a painting in their cabin, over whether it was a birch tree or an oak tree, and I don't recall ever coming to a conclusion. I'll always miss those memories we had, traveling together, working and surfing together. But I know I'll see you again someday, brother. For now, it's in the ocean where your spirit crashes with each new wave, or the open mountain range where your soul freely flies. I promise to always keep you in my heart, brother. As my son's godfather, he will always remember the legendary warrior you were, and to always live like Traeger. Thank you.
We'll now hear from Mike Murphy.
You guys hear me okay in the back? Cool. Thanks. Anybody want to grab some water, give a towel wipe, or shake your legs out, feel free. No offense taken. I know it's hot. Appreciate how patient everyone's been, and appropriate for somebody who's so special and so patient with all of us. I got the chance to work with Derek this past summer, and he was a really special guy. And all the people that have contributed in the last 3 weeks to supporting us and helping us out, we're very grateful. All the frontline guys and gals working in some busy areas on some busy days, and then trying to cope with this at the same time. So I'd like to start by just thanking everybody from the memorial management team. You guys do an impossible job incredibly well. The lifeguard chiefs, you guys have been amazing. Chief Maroney, Chief OT, I appreciate your effort to be present. I don't ever hope to understand the complications and the depth and the responsibility of your position, but I know it's great. So thank you for creating time for us. As well, the section chief in Central Section, Chief Murphy, I've known you for a couple years now, and like Derek did for many of us, he's brought the best out of you. I appreciate you being so present and hands-on with all of us. So one of my favorite people in the world uses the term gem to describe people that she loves, cares about, admires. And I love the double meaning, the entire meaning of the metaphor. Gems are not only precious stones that look amazing and they're rare, but they're also things you work for. They're not things lying on the surface. You don't ever call someone a river rock or a cobble when you want to say nice things about them. You call them gems, and Derek was a gem. He was a little rough around the edges, but God, he was so sweet and so soft in his heart, so special. I crossed paths with Derek at some point when I worked in the junior guard program, and I'll never forget the Grom face that he had. Even as an adult, it just looked familiar. It looked like the kids you see that just stare at the sun, they squint, they're sunburned, their lips are swollen and red. You can tell how much they love looking at the ocean, being in the ocean. They're easy to connect with. A couple other things we have in common. Him growing up in San Pedro, myself in Torrance. Apologies to the members of Battalion 14, but we both had reservations about everything and anything from Palos Verdes. I appreciated his love for travel. About 5 years ago, I bumped into him in southern Mexico with a couple of his friends. There was 4 of them, and I was there with my partner at the time. We bumped into Colin, who I recognized, and I recognized Derek's face, but I didn't know him well at the time. I sat with all 4, talked about what their plans were. 2 of the 4 were on their way back for work commitments in a couple weeks, and Colin and Derek had no intention of coming home anytime soon, and I knew those were my kind of guys. I wanted to work with him at one day soon, and mentioned it to him then and often after. A year ago, my friend Tyler Morgan recruited Derek to paddling with myself and a group of young lifeguards in a canoe race that takes place each year that goes from Avalon to Newport Beach. Typically, the lifeguard crew doesn't necessarily stand out for performance on Sunday, the day of the race, but more so Saturday, the day prior. As most teams rest up and drink their electrolytes, we do our best to enjoy the end of summer, have a great night out together, terrorize Avalon to some extent. Derek not only made an impression on me that night, as we coincidentally bumped into his sister, who swears she only goes once a year, but the way he looked after her and her friends amidst all the chaos of people having fun was impressive. The next day, if you were to watch the race, it looked a lot more like a disaster at sea episode than it did any sort of sporting event. We were flipping, the wind was coming the wrong way at the AMA. About 3 hoolies in, which is the term we use for when the boat flips, I was debating whether or not we were going to have to call it and get towed back because it was just so bad. And every time we kept flipping, you'd see Derek get back in the boat with the same enthusiasm nonstop. All you wanted to do was fix the problem and help everybody get to the finish without any deterioration in his spirit. Some of the members of that crew were a pretty lethal combination of hungover and seasick, and it showed. As they're vomiting off the side of the boat, Derek just kept on paddling. He kept positive and got us all the way to the finish. And by the time we had got done, I realized although our team was absolutely terrible in the way we performed, I took great pride in watching a handful of young men do something that was probably the hardest thing that they had ever done to that point. These guys were brand new to the squad, and it was a pretty cool thing to watch. I knew at that point I definitely wanted to rope Derek in and work with him. But it was tough. I had to rope him into working Santa Monica North. It's one of the more unenviable positions to bid as a lifeguard. It's the only spot in the county this summer that had a vacated captain position because nobody else wanted it. I gladly accepted recalls in that area and consistently worked it 5 days a week or more throughout the season while we were shorthanded until late July when we added a captain. The area is not a popular destination. It's geographically isolated north of the Santa Monica Pier. The sand is distinctly arid, tears at your feet. The call volume is high. It's not always pretty. Lifeguards are asked to confront mental illness, drug addiction, and homelessness with patience and compassion without being distracted from the duties in the water. Access to workout equipment is a challenge, and guards work in relative anonymity with no true locals to pat them on the back, and rare is the day that anyone passes through to check in. For all the above, the crew working is also rewarded with consistently terrible surf and an incredibly demanding captain. People may use terms like intense, blunt, abrasive to describe me, and those are the more PG terms. You could talk to the crew for some more colorful adjectives. The summer started with a meeting we held with everybody, not everybody, but all the openers, the 4 openers that we had selected, one of which was Derek, 3 others, and the permanent staff. We got together after work one night to talk about some just general area procedures, standard operating guidelines, and a few other things that I had been very, very adamant about. And up there, the place can get so busy so quick, you don't really have time to ride training wheels and get used to it. You need people to be prepared the first day of the schedules. I constantly ask guys to stay busy until we are busy. If people are bored, their first option is to work out. Their second option is to clean. They typically elect to work out. I encourage them to keep their eyes on the water, not on the circus. We row dories on a regular basis for 3 reasons. 1, because a 2-foot wave can humble you like nothing else. 2, it builds scars, calluses, sores, and other things that will help you endure other more difficult parts of your life. And 3, it's the only craft we have that requires teamwork, not just to row successfully, but just to launch, to prepare, to put it in the water alone. I ask our lifeguards to not be ineffective cops, but to be incredible lifeguards. I ask them to fight complacency with a laser focus. I constantly reinforce my aim to simply do a good job and have fun. Derek suited that mission perfectly. The area is unique, and we do what we can to stay sharp, to deftly deflect the distractions and stay focused on our primary mission of ocean safety and emergent medical care. I ask our crew to not be distracted by police matters unless there's a medical complaint that we can solve. A fight between illegal vendors is consensual assault until someone's got a medical complaint in which we can intervene or help. When we're asked to intervene on the bi-weekly naked man call, I remind the crew that if we're confident he's naked, we're also confident he's not in waist-deep water. And until he is, we're not worried about it. We politely pass off the number of the Santa Monica Police and return to vigilant water watching. I ask that we stay busy until we are busy always. Freediving drills, rescue board drills, simple medical trainings are staples. Due to lack of access to a base station, we've outfitted one tower into a fiberglass repair shop where we repair dories, repair paddleboards, and whatever else needs attention. As we went through this meeting, Derek's only clarifying questions were procedural, not philosophical. He was a Venice alumni with great crews and great mentors. He was dialed. He knew what it would take to succeed on a busy beach on a busy day, and I didn't need to convince him, and sometimes I felt like I do need to convince the others. He would have succeeded in any agency anywhere in the world. I've been in close contact and quarters with people from South Africa, Australia, Hawaii, places I would be daunted, intimidated to work. Derek would thrive. As we walked back from our meeting that night, we could hear a scuffle on the boardwalk in Santa Monica. We initially chuckled. Some sort of sounded like a fight, argument of some kind, and we sort of said under our breaths, hey guys, like, welcome to Central. Derek was the only veteran opener from the Central section. The other 2 were from South Bay with experience opening, but they had never dealt with anything like we see in Central section. The 4th is a guard from Central, but never had any experience up there as an opener. We walked back to one of our favorite permanent lifeguards, Brendan Beer, sweeping out the garage with glass everywhere, and asked him what had happened. It turned out some locals had attacked the station with glass bottles, throwing them over the 15-foot station walls onto the lifeguard trucks that were in the apparatus bay. We stood there as Brendan swept the garage, and we went to go check it out, and then we quickly turned to look at the personal vehicles as we were about to say goodnight and pull out. Several of the mirrors on our personal vehicles had been smashed, one of which belonged to Derek, actually his sister Laura, who's here, and one of which belonged to Mario. Derek's mirror was completely obliterated. Derek looked at Mario's and saw it in multiple pieces on the ground and said, hey bro, I got you, and found a screwdriver and worked quickly to try to reassemble Mario's mirror. As he was doing that, one of our other counterparts walked into the station and grabbed ice cream for all the 4 guys that were standing out there as I called the police and went to instruct them on the process for filling out a security incident report form. As our OLS Shota handed out ice cream to the guys, if you know Mario, it won't surprise you, he was more than happy to see an ice cream. And doubly happily to see Derek working away on his car to get it working and back in full function. Mario's disposition completely changed from completely dejected, upset, frustrated to happy as can be, like it was like the greatest night of his life. The status of Derek's mirror never changed, but it was also incredible to see how much pride Derek took in just helping somebody else out. It's really difficult, that's a good one. Difficult and tough to honor Derek outside the context of a team. He was an exceptional teammate at every beach he set foot on. Our crew this summer began shorthanded. One person not on schedule, and we didn't have that captain spot filled until we got some help in late July. The Santa Monica North crew consisted of 21 personnel, 1 captain, 4 specialists, 4 openers who worked in tandem with those specialists, and then 12 ocean lifeguards. Derek was one of our 4 openers, and he was phenomenal at what he did. Our tower guards consisted of 1 older gentleman, George, and the remainder 11 were all young men between the ages of 20 and 30. George's son Oliver worked there, grew up in West LA. We had 2 rookies, one that the crew named Cosmic Josh, who came from San Clemente and had worked previously in the state parks. The other rookie, Will, moved to the United States with his family from Canada as a child. Justin, his parents were raised in Hawaii, grew up in Hawaii. He was the firstborn on mainland United States. Our friend Jack moved from Iran as a child. His grandparents, initially fleeing Armenian genocide, had raised him in Iran until he came to the United States just before September 11th. Cade and Scott were athletic young guys that grew up on either ends of the LA area, both talented, sharp, and good in the water. The prodigious Chang brothers were sons of Taiwanese immigrants. If you met them 7 years ago, I gotta say it, guys, they were just terrible lifeguards. They didn't know what they were looking at, couldn't figure out a rip current, weren't sure how to show up on time, and they have evolved into 100% complete professionals. They do an amazing job. Near twin brothers, Matt and Ryan, grew up in Santa Monica, also phenomenal lifeguards. I don't know if either one of them has ever checked their county email, yet they somehow have managed to stay employed. Our brother Mario is the son of Mexican immigrants. His mother grew up selling flowers on the streets in Los Angeles to help feed the family. Brandon grew up in Guatemala, moved to the United States as a 13-year-old. And Derek's dear friend Roberto, who worked LA City with him, grew up in El Salvador, moved to the United States as a child. He's one of the only people I know who's been both shot and stabbed, yet his smile is significantly more permanent than any of his scars. What we lacked in diversity, in gender and age, they made up for culturally and ethnically. It was incredible to see so many different people from so many different parts of the world come together and band together as brothers and work towards one mission. Derek was unquestionably the big brother of them all, the leader of the pack in every sense. If you flipped a dory or got beat to a rescue, it resembled Lord of the Flies, but more often than not, these guys were tight, and they did an amazing job, and they made my life really easy, following Derek's lead. Anybody that knows him can say he was an exceptional individual, but he was truly a force multiplier in a team setting. What made Derek so exceptional was he did not need to align himself with people at the front of the pack. He was not looking to ride a dragon, he was more inclined to slay it. He never regretted or held back from working with our weakest links. On one day in particular, we had a guard who struggled to make a rescue, and I asked Derek to train him up and help him improve. I gave them a very specific task on the biggest south swell of the year to do 5 ins and outs with a very specific drill and fins. I asked Derek, don't get in the water too early on the front end of the set. Wait for one wave to break and then get in. And I want him to take every single wave that he possibly can on the head to get better and more prepared to do his job and perform as he's expected to. Derek was more than happy to assist and did it in an incredible supportive way that made this guard feel 100% included. His impact operationally as well as culturally were profound. It was hard to come up with anything to give him to help him improve. Early August, I sat down with Derek on a shift where we overlapped. He was working in relief of one of the regular guys. I said something to the effect of, I'm sure whoever's not working today, I won't mention names, is happy to have a day off from me because I'm hard on him. I'm hard on all these guys. And Derek entertained the conversation. I mentioned that everybody's got something to work on, and I'm just doing my best to help all these guys do what they do best. Derek looked at me quickly and said, "What is it I need to work on? What is it that you think I can do better, Mike? Just tell me." It was a little bit of an identity crisis. I had no criticism initially. I had to actually stop and think. I couldn't really think of anything that this guy needed to do differently or better. He was amazing with rescues, no matter how rudimentary or technical it was. He was incredible with his medical care and just unbelievably compassionate, both with his teammates as well as patients. I thought hard and I told him, "Derek, the only thing I can really give you any advice on, man, is don't be so quick to lean into your identity." He looked back at me and his words, not mine, were, "What, dumb Pedro kid?" I chuckled and I said, "Yeah, man, I think it's more effort on your part to play dumb than just to be smart." Derek was creative. He was thoughtful. He was a very high-level problem solver. His humor was deadly, and he had infinite emotional intelligence. He could be the tough guy, he could be the sweetheart, and none of it ever came off as anything but truly sincere and authentic. I realized as I told this to Derek, this was an insecurity of his. It was a protective mechanism to not totally go out there because he cared so much. This is something that people do in relationships. It's something they do in jobs. They hold just a little bit back because if things don't work out the way they want, the pain, the devastation of it not coming together is going to be absolutely unbearable. I encouraged Derek to fight that. I had the chance to tell him about all the important things he did so incredibly well, and I just asked him to just maybe focus on some of those unimportant things. Unfortunately, in this job, those things are not always weighted appropriately. And some of the procedural things that we're asked to do on a daily basis are measured a little bit unfairly. And some of the exceptional things you do, you just don't have the chance for the heroic rescue, or no one's watching you make that amazing prevent, or no one's seeing you treat a stingray on a disabled child as compassionately as you do and only you do. Those things aren't always recognized. So let's work on tying up some of those loose ends. And that was it, man. And you're going to be great. And I walked away from that conversation incredibly optimistic about Derek's future. He didn't need a sermon, just a little acknowledgement and encouragement. And I felt like he was on the right track, and I looked forward to working with him for many years to come. I asked him to come with me the following year. I knew I'd be leaving Santa Monica and probably Central Section. I wanted him to come work with me. I told him that very deliberately, and he looked at me and said, "Mike, I'm not sure I'm going to fit in so well down there." I said, "Derek, that's exactly why I want you to come. I don't ever want you to fit in. I want everybody else in these different areas to work more like you. I never want to see you work like anybody else." I'm very thankful I had the chance to tell him that. People that know me know I love my job. I love being busy in the summer. You could tell me we're going to have 100 rescues and 15 medicals tomorrow, and I'd go to bed, and if I didn't sleep, it'd be because of excitement, not anxiousness. I'm even learning to love the slow days in the middle of winter, where we get to justify surfing as part of our training and some of our job. I love working with young people. I love learning from older people. But the part of my job I absolutely love the most is advocacy. There's only so much I can do for one patient, one rescue, one victim, and there's so much more I can do by advocating for young people that can extend that to so many more. Oftentimes, people like Derek are missed because they don't advocate for themselves. When some people put their hands up to garner recognition from a supervisor, Derek just put his head down and simply earned the universal respect of his peers. Some are show ponies, and Derek was a workhorse. When many of us get anxious about looking like we're doing the right thing, Derek just did the right thing without giving a damn what it looked like, which is very ironic for an artist so talented. Derek makes it easy to fight battles passionately, whether or not you win. I'd rather exhaust myself fighting those battles for people like Derek than lose sleep as I struggle to look the other way. Derek's the reason I continue to advocate. Derek's the reason it's easy to come to work when we're getting recalled for 5 months straight. Derek's the reason that every kid on our beach wanted to be better, and in turn made all of the permanent staff want to be better as well. Derek played hurt, and he did it with a smile. He loved to work. Derek solved problems you never knew about, and if you had a problem and came to him with it, you could guarantee he was going to have something to contribute. Too often, our department's core values are fodder for an oral exam, or a pop quiz in an academy, or subject matter for a preconceived fitness drill with recruits, versus principles truly embodied in action. I would honestly be surprised if Derek could identify all of our core values off the top of his head, but I can't think of anyone who more thoroughly exuded commitment, caring, community, courage, teamwork, and especially integrity than Derek Traeger. I never called him by his last name. I always called him Derek. He always looked like a kid to me, no matter how tough, no matter how tall, no matter how shredded he got every summer, no matter how tattooed. There was a boy inside there that was so sweet. He loved everybody around him, and he loved his job. I showed up to work on August 13th, and I printed out 4 resumes for my openers. 10 days from them, they had to turn in special assignments, and my intent was to go through resumes with each one of them, help them tune it up, work on grammar, punctuation, formatting, whatever needed. I'm sure you guys are appreciating the win, so we'll keep it going. I saw 3 of my openers that day. I got to work on their resumes. We tightened them up the best we could. I gave them little things. I convinced our boy Mario to maybe condense it down to 1 page, verse 4. Some formatting issues with Cade and Scott, but they all had great content. I left Derek's resume in the bottom of my locker, and I never had the chance to see Derek. The next day I got a phone call that he had passed away at 5 a.m. It's 5 a.m. when I was woken up. I looked at his resume in the bottom of my locker for a week, like a complete zombie. As much as I love advocating for our guys, I also hate loose ends. So I got to work on Derek's resume. I took some editorial liberties and took care of some things and some aspects of it that I know he would never necessarily say himself, but I wanted to share that resume with you guys now. Derek Traeger, 1248 West 26th Place, San Pedro, California, 90731, 310-720-5660. Derek.Traeger@fire.lacounty.gov. For his objective, to serve my community as an ocean lifeguard specialist for the Los Angeles County Fire Department, to utilize thousands of hours spent in the ocean to execute ocean rescues and to teach others how to do the same, no matter how hazardous the conditions. To contribute my work as an artist, craftsman, and designer to my community and my department. To be a lifelong learner with no ego, and to be a willing teacher devoid of pride or prejudice. To proudly represent San Pedro on every foreign coast I visit, and to always represent my family, both in ink and introduction. To employ uncanny emotional intelligence to help transform collections of individuals into purposeful, cohesive teams. To compassionately serve with enthusiasm and joy in complete anonymity. To love and look after my sisters and brothers who work alongside me as we collectively protect the public we serve. Education, Good Shepherd Preschool, class of 1999. White Point Elementary, class of 2005. Dana Middle School, class of 2008. And San Pedro High School, class of 2012. For experience, and this is such a beautiful thing about Derek, he actually had his junior lifeguard years on his resume. Pretty amazing for a 28-year-old. Los Angeles County Junior Lifeguard 2003 through 2010. Los Angeles County Junior Lifeguard Cadet 2011. Los Angeles City Aquatics and Open Water Lifeguard 2013 to 2017. Woolsey Fire Volunteer 2018. LA County Lifeguard Training Cadre 2021, and LA County Fire Department Ocean Lifeguard 2016 through 2022. I asked each captain that he had worked with in his prior assignments to give me 1 adjective or word that came to mind to describe Derek. 2016, Doc Weiler, Area 17, Captain Robert Bourget, described him as humble. He remembered a conversation with Derek where Derek proudly said, "It took me 3 years to get on, and I'm glad it did. I needed it. I needed to grow up." 2017, Doc Weiler, Area 17, Captain Darren Nelson, described him as charismatic. Said it didn't matter how cool you were, or how goofy you were included and felt comfortable around Derek. 2018, Venice, Area 23, Captain AJ Lester described him as Spartan, just fully into whatever he was doing, whenever he was doing it, whether it was art, rescues, training. 2019, Venice, Area 23, Captain Julio Rodriguez described him as solid. Solid in his integrity, solid in his friendships, solid in his job performance. 2020, Venice, Area 23, Captain Matt Pennington described him as committed. 2021, in Venice, Area 23, Captain Spencer Parker called him a leader. In 2022, Santa Monica, myself, described him as a brother. Big brother to all those kids that worked that beach, and a brother to me. His specialized skills and attributes include illustration and technical drawing, sculpture, carpentry, fabrication, pure sincerity and authenticity, extraordinary humor, random acts of kindness, emotional intelligence, relentless work ethic, and profound integrity. Under references, I identified the Los Angeles County Lifeguards of Doc Weiler, Venice, and Santa Monica North, countless ocean rescue victims and EMS patients, and myself, Mike Murphy, Captain, LA County Lifeguard Department, LA County Fire Department Lifeguard Battalion 300. The start of the summer, Derek thanked me for the opportunity. The only promise I made him was to do my best to help him be his best. Didn't guarantee him a performance evaluation of any kind, and definitely no career assurances. As the summer season closed, I'm the one who will be eternally grateful for the opportunity that he gave me. He was the one that helped me to be my best, and will continue to do so. I asked him to work with me next summer, and now he has no choice. He will be with me every beach I go to for the rest of my life. And I know the crews in Venice and Doc Weiler that work with him feel the exact same way. I want to thank you for your service, Derek Traeger. I love you. We all love you. And it's my humble honor to pass along a copy of your resume to Chief Maroney. And we have one as well for you, Jackie. Lucas Meredith was Derek's partner this summer. He'll never be the same. Thanks.
Thank you, Mike. One more time, Benny.
All right. This next song we're playing is a song by Smokey Robinson.
He will my shield and portion be, as long as life endures. These remind us of the lines from Psalm 46. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear, though the earth gives way, though the mountains be moved into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble at its swelling. A very present help in times of trouble, but how? We read throughout the Old Testament scripture of God putting his Spirit upon a person or group of people to strengthen them in accomplishing his will. We see him referred to as the Holy Spirit or the Holy Ghost. We see him with Jacob's son Joseph in Pharaoh's household in Egypt. And Pharaoh said to his servants, "Can we find a man like this, in whom is the Spirit of God?" Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Since God has shown you all this, there is none so discerning and wise as you are." We see him with Joshua, who would finally lead the Israelites into the promised land. So the Lord said to Moses, "Take Joshua, son of Nun, a man in whom is the Spirit, and lay your hand on him. Make him stand before Eleazar the priest and all the congregation, and you shall commission him in their sight." We see him with two gentlemen you don't normally hear much about, Oholiab and Bezalel, who God would charge with building his tabernacle as Israel traveled through the wilderness on the way to the promised land. The Lord said to Moses, "See, I have called by name Bezalel, the son of Uri, son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, and I have filled him with the Spirit of God, with all ability and intelligence, with knowledge and all craftsmanship." To his prophet Joel, God describes the age to be brought about by the coming Messiah. "And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my Spirit on all flesh. Even on the male and female servants in those days I will pour out my Spirit." Then in the New Testament Gospels, that same Messiah has come. He is the carpenter from Nazareth. His name is Jesus. And he tells his disciples that this pouring out of the Spirit will happen very soon after his crucifixion and resurrection. Here Jesus refers to the Spirit as the Helper. "These things I have spoken to you while I'm still with you, but the Helper, the Holy Spirit, Father will send in my name. He will teach you all things and bring to your remembrance all that I have said to you." Finally, as the disciples are hiding in Jerusalem after Jesus' crucifixion, he appears to them, and as the disciple John records, when he had said this, he showed them his hands and his side. Then his disciples were glad when they saw the Lord. Jesus said to them again, "Peace be with you. As the Father has sent me, even so I am sending you." And when he had said this, he breathed on them and said to them, "Receive the Holy Spirit." In the dark early hours of August 14th, the cell phone on the nightstand rings, and you are told of the devastating loss in our fire lifeguard family. As your waking mind grapples to orient itself, and as you stumble around for pieces of uniform, you start to think about a family whose faces you have never seen. As your wife, who was always more alert than you, and especially at night, asks what happened, you hurriedly give her the pieces you have and realize that you don't yet have a good idea yourself. She stuffs water and granola bars into your pockets and prays over you as you pause at the front door. You give her a kiss and walk out into the dark. You're responsible for a huge county this night, but this house is not far at all. As your phone receives texts that give you a few more details, it also tells you you're getting close to the home. The fog begins. As you get closer, it thickens. Along with the fog, questions in your mind get louder and louder. What business do I have coming here? And what will I say? As you arrive at the house and start up the walkway, you begin to feel a little nauseous. Who am I, and how will I speak to a loss so large that it cannot even be held in one human mind all at the same time. I don't want to do this. The family doesn't want to be doing this, any of it. The loss of a child. Against your will, your feet have somehow found the threshold to the home, and your heart is pounding. God Almighty, help me. Holy Spirit, give me the words, your words, for this family that God made, his precious creations. You see the faces of this mother and father, and words do come. As the couple begins to speak, you immediately see that these are people who live with their hearts wide open. Even in the face of sudden massive loss, they begin to fill the minds and hearts of their unexpected visitors with a picture of people and of years and of openness, happiness, and love. Before the sun has risen and begin to burn off the fog, the two before you are no longer the family. They are Jackie and Phil. They have two daughters, Laura and Sarah, who were the first to get the horrible news, and together, blessedly together, are now returning as fast as is possible from the East Coast to their family home. In fact, they will land early in the afternoon. As you meet the daughters, you are not surprised at all. The descriptions from their mother and father have already made the introduction, and they are their parents' daughters. The family talks about others, Sarah's Will, and Derek's gal, Jenna. And they are just as Jackie and Phil have described, open hearts. Ladies and gentlemen, unlike many of you, I never got the pleasure of meeting Derek Traeger, but through his family and through many of you, the introduction has been made. He was, and will continue to be his parents' son. He was and will continue to be his sister's brother. On the last day of the feast, the great day, Jesus stood up and cried out, "If anyone thirsts, let him come to me and drink. Whoever believes in me, as the scripture has said, out of his heart will flow rivers of living water." This he said about the Spirit. Grace was never mine to extend to this beautiful family. Thankfully, this is not God's design. It was simply to go and to listen and to pray and to ask, and powerfully to be blessed to be among them. The grace of God has flowed to us all, and it flows still. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. Thanks be to God. Let's close this ceremony as we began in prayer. Lord God, let this memorial mark not the end, but the beginning of our shared remembrance of Derek. I pray that in the coming days, weeks, months, and years, we would continue to come to you. Your son told his disciples, "I have said these things to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world." Amen. I want to thank the Traeger family. Thank you. Your family is making us better. Thank all the men and women of the Los Angeles County Ocean Lifeguards and Fire Department for their planning and loving preparation. The staff at Coastal and Green Hills for their hope and kindness. Thanks for coming, everyone. Thanks for staying in the heat. This concludes our memorial. God bless you all.